You got the raise. You worked 3 years for it, stayed late, took the projects nobody wanted, ate lunch at your desk on days you should have gone home early. And then it happened. The number went up. Real money, the kind of number that's supposed to change things. 6 months later, you check your savings account and it looks exactly the same as it did before the raise. Not because you blew it, not because anything dramatic happened, just the same. Like the money showed up, looked around, and quietly found somewhere else to be. And nobody is going to explain to you why that keeps happening. So that's what we're doing today. Vanessa got her promotion on a Tuesday afternoon in March. She was a project coordinator in a logistics company in Columbus, Ohio, and after 3 years of being the person who held everything together while other people got credit for it, her manager finally put it in writing. $9,000 more a year. She called her sister on the way to her car. They went to dinner that weekend to celebrate. She deserved every bit of it. 8 months later, Vanessa had roughly $200 more in savings than before the raise, out of $9,000. She was not irresponsible. She did not buy anything she'd be embarrassed to tell you about. Here is exactly what happened, piece by piece, because this is the part that nobody slows down enough to show you. Her lease was up 6 weeks after the promotion. The new apartment was $195 more a month, but it was so much nicer, and she could obviously afford it now. A few months in, she switched gyms. Only $30 more a month, and the new one was actually close to her office. Her grocery runs got better. Trader Joe's a couple times a week, Whole Foods on weekends. Takeout went from a Friday thing to a Thursday and Friday thing, because honestly, she was tired, and she had worked hard, and she deserved a break. None of these felt like spending decisions. Every single one felt like a natural, reasonable upgrade to match a new income level. And that feeling, that sense of completely justified adjustment, is the exact mechanism that is quietly draining the bank accounts of millions of people right now.
Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation, the hedonic treadmill. The research on this goes back decades, and the finding is consistent. Human beings return to a baseline level of satisfaction after almost every change in their circumstances, positive or negative. You move into the nicer apartment, you feel great for about 6 weeks, and then it just becomes where you live. You upgrade the grocery situation, you enjoy it, and then it just becomes what dinner looks like. The emotional charge fades. The new standard locks in. And then, this is the part that matters. Your brain starts looking for the next thing that will feel like something. So you spend a little more and more, chasing a feeling that keeps resetting to zero no matter how fast you run. The raise does not fix this. The bonus does not fix this. More money pouring into the same psychological container is just more water in a bucket that has a slow leak you cannot see. And the data on how widespread this leak is should genuinely bother you. According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, the personal savings rate for Americans at the end of 2024 was 3.8%. That means out of every dollar Americans take home after taxes, they are setting aside less than 4 cents. Not $4, 4 cents. In the 1960s and 70s, that number averaged 11.7%. It peaked at 17.3% in May of 1975. Something structural has changed in the relationship between American income and American savings, and it is not that people got lazier. The treadmill just got faster, and nobody told anyone it was moving. The Federal Reserve surveys tens of thousands of American households every year about their financial lives. In their 2024 report, they found that 18% of adults said the largest emergency expense they could handle right now using only their savings was under $100, not $1,000, under $100. Another 13% said they could handle between $100 and $499. That means nearly a third of American adults are one unexpected car repair away from borrowing money or missing a bill. And a significant chunk of those people have had raises, multiple raises. The raises happened, the savings did not. So if it is not income, what is it? Here's the thing that the standard financial advice always skips over because it is uncomfortable and it doesn't fit neatly into a budgeting app. Most people, without ever consciously deciding this, have an internal sense of what their financial situation is supposed to feel like. Not what they want it to feel like, what it is supposed to feel like. And that internal set point was built long before they had any real information about money. It was built from the household they grew up in, the neighborhood.
Conversations they overheard about whether there was enough. If the adults around you treated money as something that was always tight, always a little short, always gone faster than it came, you built a model around that. And that model does not update just because your direct deposit goes up. Behavioral economists have a name for this too. They call it the psychological wealth ceiling, the unconscious upper limit on how much money a person believes they are allowed to have at any given time. And once your savings start approaching that ceiling, spending finds a way to bring it back down. Not dramatically, not in one stupid decision you can point to, in 100 small ones that each feel completely reasonable. Vanessa's brain was not sabotaging her. It was being loyal to an old version of her, a version that's formed when $200 in savings felt like a comfortable buffer, and the raise just meant the adjustments got slightly nicer. This is why the first $1,000 is so disproportionately hard. It is not a math problem. The math is the easy part. You could do it in 4 months at $250 a month, 5 months at $200, 10 months at $100. The hard part is that saving that first $1,000 requires crossing a threshold your psychology has not agreed to cross yet. It feels like deprivation. It feels like giving something up. Because to the version of you that built that internal set point, it is. You are trying to accumulate money past the point where your brain says money is supposed to be gone, and every time you get close, a completely reasonable expense appears. Here is what changes once you actually get there. This is the thing that almost nobody talks about, and it is the whole point. A research team led by Nobel Prize-winning economist Richard Thaler studied what happens when you remove the human decision from the savings process entirely. Their program, called Save More Tomorrow, had employees commit in advance to directing a portion of every future raise into savings, automatically. Before the raise arrived, before the new income felt real, before the brain had time to reclassify it as lifestyle. The results were not subtle. Average savings rates among participants went from 3.5% to 13.6% over 40 months. Not because anyone developed iron willpower, because the decision happened before the treadmill could start moving. The mechanism Thaler identified is the same one that makes the first $1,000 so hard and every $1,000 after it progressively easier. When you never see the money, you never adapt to having it. Your lifestyle does not adjust upward because the money was never part of your lifestyle to begin with. And once the number in your savings account actually starts to grow, once it clears 1,000, then 2, then 5, something shifts in how you see yourself. The identity of being someone who has savings starts to form. And that identity, even a small version of it, changes every financial decision that follows. Building starts to feel better than spending. The number going up produces its own satisfaction. The ceiling begins to move. Now here is the math on what moving that ceiling actually produces over time, and I want to be precise about this, because vague future numbers do not move anyone. If Vanessa sets up an automatic transfer of $250 a month the day her raise hits, not when she feels ready, the actual day before she adjusts to the new amount, and that money goes into a broad index fund earning the S&P 500's long-run average of roughly 7% annually, here is what she's looking at. After 1 year, around $3,100. After 3 years, a little under $10,000. After 5 years, close to $17,800. After 10 years, just under $43,500. None of this requires more income. None of this requires a side hustle or a second job or cutting every small pleasure out of her life. It requires one decision made before the money arrives, before the paycheck, before the raise, before the bonus. A fixed amount goes somewhere else first. Not because you're disciplined enough to resist spending it, because it's gone before you have to resist anything. The discipline is in the setup. Everything after that is just time doing what time does. Vanessa figured this out. She set up a $300 automatic transfer for the same day her direct deposit hit every 2 weeks. Not when she felt ready, not after she got her spending under control first, the day the raise started, before she had adapted to any of it. 12 months later, her savings account had $3,900 in it. She had not noticed the $300 was gone. She had genuinely not felt deprived. The hedonic treadmill runs in both directions. You can adapt upward into spending more, and you can adapt downward into living on slightly less. The second kind of adaptation is the one that changes your actual life, instead of just making it look slightly nicer from the outside. The raise is not going to fix it on its own. More income into the same container produces more spending with a slightly longer delay. The container has to change first, and the only way to change the container is to prove to yourself, with a real number you can look at, that you are someone who keeps money. That proof does not come from motivation. It does not come from finally caring enough or finally being ready. It comes from one automated transfer set up before the lifestyle adjusts, small enough to barely feel and permanent enough that in 5 years you will look at the number and barely recognize the person who thought this was impossible. That is the whole thing. The raise is yours. The question is whether you decide where it goes before your brain does.